Welcome back, folks. I have a new video for you guys today. I know it's been a little while, but today we're going to be changing the fluids and filters on my Case 1840 skid steer. I got my filters from crossfilters.com. They had reasonable prices, fast shipping, and I will definitely be shopping with them again. Two differences with the filters between earlier model machines and later model machines are the air filters are two different styles, so you have to check yours before replacing them, as well as the fuel filters. The older models had two filters, and the later models have only one filter, like mine. These air filters were pretty bad, but that's what they're there for. Before taking off the old secondary filter, I wanted to blow out all the dust and debris that was in the air box. That way it wouldn't go onto the new filters, and I wouldn't be blowing it into the engine if I had both the filters off. Next step was to change the engine oil, and there's a protecting plate on the bottom to cover up the drain plug, and it's held on by two 5/8 head bolts. It's been a little while since the oil was last changed, and the mud that's on the bottom of this machine, packed at the bottom, uh, almost looked like metal until I started hitting it with a hammer and pulling the chunks of crud out of the way. While that drained, it's time to work on the oil filter. Whoever did the service before really liked to make sure that the oil filters and hydraulic filters and fuel filter were really tight. Now it's time to refill the oil. This engine took about 11 quarts. This is the Case 390-4, which is the precursor to the Cummins 4VT. Something I wish I did before was put the loader arms all the way up just to give me some more room in the engine. The Incredible Hulk decided to put on this fuel filter. I had to do the same thing with the others, or like the others, and inside this filter was super rusty and dirty. It got me thinking to check the fuel tank, and this is what I found. So I had to use an impact on the drain plug because it had probably never been taken out. Then I used a hand ratchet and tried to carefully take the drain plug out, which had some stuff. And it pushed the drain plug out of the way. Once all the water and mud and silt had gotten out of the way, I closed the plug back up. But it was pretty horrendous at the bottom of that fuel tank. And it made a mess all over the floor. Give you guys a replay of that. You can see the solid mud falling out. And then I'd give it a little more. Boom. It all just comes flying out of there. This filter kit comes with two fuel filters. You use both on the earlier model machines, and you only use one for the newer model machines. I only needed one of the filters, and I grabbed the wrong one and filled it up with diesel purge, which, by the way, is a great product if you need to clean out an injection pump. It does wonders for the fuel systems, but I filled it up with the wrong I filled the wrong filter up, tried to put it on, but just had to swap the filter out, and I only needed one of them. This one at that point was junk. I wasn't planning on doing the main hydraulic system, but after looking at that site gauge, the fluid level and condition, I figured why not do it. I have the filter, but I didn't have the fluid, and this is where this comes in. So the Hto additive is a thing that's sold in a 1 quart jug, and you mix it to every 5 gallons of regular hydraulic fluid, and it's to prevent foaming and pump cavitation, the whole thing. And I know I'm going to be starting a debate here. I called up my local case dealer and asked them for this Hto additive, and they said that case has kind of gone away from it, and now they're swapping everything over to the newer system fluid, which is the Htran, and that's exactly what I did. I'm sure there's some guys that run Hto additive. I'm sure there's some guys that don't, and whether or not it's a real thing, I don't know for sure. I'm not an engineer, but what I can tell you is I swapped my system over to Htran, and I've had no issues. The pump is quiet. I haven't had any like groaning or growling from the hydraulic system, so it's a worthwhile swap, I think, and it actually works out to be cheaper than having to buy the hydraulic oil plus the Hto additive and then mixing it yourself. Just like the fuel tank, I had to use my impact to loosen up the drain plug, and then I used a hand ratchet and carefully did it until I started getting some water. And there's actually quite a bit of water in this hydraulic system. I let that drain out first, and then I put the rest of the oil in a bucket. I let it slowly drain out, and then that's when I drove up to PowerCo and got myself 2 5-gallon buckets full of Htran. I tightened up the plug, and then she was ready to be refilled. But first, I had to get off the old hydraulic filter. Thankfully, this one didn't put up as much of a fight, but I did notice that it's yellow and it's labeled case. Now, I'm no expert in this field, but if you guys have any idea if this is the original hydraulic filter, I'd love to know. The machine has about 2,000 hours. I highly doubt that it is, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is the original filter. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Putting the new filter on was a struggle as well. Nothing on this machine was easy, but somebody replaced the hydraulic lines that go to the right side loader arm once prior, and when they did that, they routed them improperly, and I was getting a lot of interference issues next to this filter. So I ended up having to take those off, reroute them behind a hard line, and then kind of move the bracket a little bit in order to slip the filter on. It was a little bit of a job, but it's nothing impossible. Refilling this machine, it's pretty self-explanatory. The service manual says to refill it completely and then run it for 2 minutes at idle. Don't move any of the hydraulics, and that's what I did, and I've had no issues since. The Htran fluid has more of a reddish tint to it, and that's the reservoir all filled up. That's where you fill it from, and just checking over the rest of the machine before we fire it up. The machine ran beautifully for about 2 seconds and then died. It ended up being that I lost prime in the fuel system. I tried to get good footage of this, but it's really tight and it's hard to show. So anyway, I'll get some better footage of that when we get some warmer temperatures. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks for watching this video. Definitely more to come, and hope you guys enjoy. Thanks.